Hey there, brothers and sisters. Vessel of Truth here, Jay from Virginia for the new people, and just wanted to do a short video, kind of a year-end wrap-up in a way. For those who don't know, the main reason I actually made my channel was just for the simple fact of showing people the truth that the law was never passed away. If you've watched any of my videos, you can see that's one of the big themes in my videos. I do like to get into other topics and all that, and we'll be going more into that as the future goes, but I wanted to make a short, blunt video for people to see and use to help them in, showing people that the truth of the matter isn't what these fat cats at the four-wall indoctrination centers tell you. The truth is the law was never passed away. The Father Yahuah never changes, and he's not a man that he can lie. So we'll start out here in Jeremiah, and this is where the Father himself is speaking about the new covenant that he will make in the future with his children. This is Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 33. It says, "But this is the covenant I will make with the house of Israel." I have to stop right there. Israel was never a plot of land like everyone wants you to believe. Israel is what the Father calls his children. Everyone who is a true believer in him that walks in obedience is an Israelite. Let us continue. I will make with the house of Israel after those days, says Yahuah. I will put my law in their minds. I will write it on their hearts, and I will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. No more shall every man teach his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord, Yahuah. For they all shall know me, from the least of them to the greatest of them, says Yahuah. For I will forgive their iniquity, and their sin will I remember no more, their lawlessness. This is the future covenant that Yahuah will make with us, his children, after Judgment Day. Notice how you know it is future tense, because it says in verse 34, no more shall every man teach his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know Yahuah. For they will already know him. Meaning that everyone that you'll come in contact with will know the truth. Now, this shows the importance of the law never being passed away. See, if the law was passed away in the New Testament, just because Christ's coming, his death, burial, and resurrection, his finished work, as the fat cat teacher preacher people say, then God would have changed, because the message of the Old Testament, which is the law, would no longer be in effect in the New Testament. But yet here we see that on into eternity we will be keeping the law and living according to his law. It makes no sense. But when you know what the truth is, that the Father said he does not change and he's not a man that he can lie, you know that the law was never done away with. You figure in the New Testament, Matthew chapter 23, Christ speaking. I'm using the New King James just to help people along here without the these or the thous. Matthew chapter 23, verses 1 to 3 says, Now Yeshua spoke to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, The scribes and the Pharisees, i.e. the teachers, preachers, the fat cats of that day, sit in Moses' seat. Therefore, whatever they tell you to observe, i.e. when they tell you the law of Moses, which is the law of Yahuah, that observe and do. But do not do according to their works. For they say, i.e. they teach the truth, but they don't do it or keep it themselves. This is the same problem today. The fat cat teacher preachers of the four-wall indoctrination centers that went to cemetery to learn how to read the Bible are lying to people, because the four-wall indoctrination centers have been infiltrated by the enemy long ago. You figure back in Copernicus's day, that is when they changed the Father's Sabbath, the seventh day Sabbath, to the first day. And that just would not ever happen because the Father never changes. Now, these fat cat teacher preachers in the indoctrination centers, they're all time getting into their little pulpit and they're all time quoting the scripture from 1 Timothy 4 about us who are true believers and followers after Yahuah. They say that we fulfill these two scriptures. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verses 1 and 2. It says, Now the Spirit expressly says that in the latter times some will depart from the faith, giving heed to deceiving spirits and doctrines of demons, speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their own conscience seared with a hot iron. Now, let's just stop there a minute. The enemy, with his fallen angels and his demons, how many of them do you really think would team up and try to get people to teach the law of Yahuah, the law of Moses? I mean, it's ludicrous to even think that when you actually step back and look at things. Those who are teaching the doctrines of demons would be these fat cat teacher preachers in indoctrination centers that went to cemetery to learn their lies and deceit, to tell the people these simple lies and draw them farther away from the truth. Because most people, the only interaction they ever have with the Father, if you can even call it that, is when they go to their indoctrination center on their false Sabbath day, their sun god worshiping day, or if they're lucky, their Wednesday night service. But they're being taught false doctrine, man's doctrine. They are the ones that fulfill these two scriptures. In 2 Timothy chapter 4, Another warning, verses 3 and 4. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but according to their own desires, because they have itching ears, they will heap up for themselves teachers, and they will turn their ears away from the truth and be turned aside to fables. This is basically the reaction to most indoctrinated people who call themselves a Christian. They are not keeping the law and the Torah of Yahuah because they believe it was passed away. They fulfill this doctrine in this chapter because it's not a hard thing. Let's look at Mark chapter 7. And we'll start with, well, I can actually start with, we'll start with chapter 5, verse 5. Mark chapter 7, verse 5. Just for the background. It says, Then the Pharisees and the scribes asked him, Why do your disciples not walk according to the tradition of the elders, but eat bread with unwashed hands? And he answered and said unto them, Well did Isaiah prophesy of you hypocrites, as it is written, This people honors me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. And in vain they worship me, teaching as doctrines the commandments of men. For laying aside the commandments of God, you hold the tradition of men, the washing of pitchers and cups, and many other such things do. He said to them, All too well ye reject the commandment of Yahuah, that ye may keep your tradition. Christ railed against the teachers and preachers of the day because they had a form of godliness, but they denied the power thereof. They held the tradition of men over the commandment of the Father. That's why he fought with them. Here we are today, and I am doing my part. I am railing like Christ did against the teachers and preachers of the day, showing you that they are lying to you and leading you astray. It's this simple. Christ kept the law and commanded us to keep the law because he is our example. Let's finish with my favorite book. Everybody knows 1 John. Chapter 2, you have all these people that claims to be a Christian or a child of Yahuah, but yet they cannot get past verses 3 to 6 in 1 John chapter 2. They say they know Yeshua, Jesus, but what does the scripture say? 1 John chapter 2, verse 3. Now, by this, we know that we know him, Christ, Yeshua, Messiah, the Son of Yahuah, if we keep his commandments. Verse 4. He who says, I know him, and does not keep his commandments, is a liar, and the truth is not in him. Verse 6. He who says he abides in him, Christ, Yeshua, the Son of Yahuah, the Messiah, ought himself also to walk as he, Christ, Yeshua, the Messiah, walked. How did he walk? He kept the law and Torah and prophets perfectly. He kept the feasts. He kept the Sabbath. He kept the dietary laws. The word of Yahuah, in my view, is what will be used to testify against all those who said the law was passed away and made excuses as to why they do not keep the law. It's that easy, my brothers and sisters. Don't allow these fat cat teacher preacher people that went to cemetery to learn to read the word of Yahuah, when Yahuah, our Father, told us we need no man to teach us how to read his word, because he would send his own Spirit to teach us and bring us into all truth. It's this easy. Just with these few scriptures proves that Yeshua commanded us to keep the law of Yahuah, the law of Moses. They are the same thing. For some reason, you've got people that want to argue that the law of Moses is different than the law of Yahuah. It's not. It's the same thing. And Christ called the teachers of his day hypocrites because they would give them lip service, but they didn't walk out what they taught. And we know that Scripture commands us to be doers of the word, not hearers only. Faith without works is dead. It wasn't just the faith of Noah or the faith of Abraham or the faith of Lot that saved them. It was their obedience which gave them works that went along with their faith. So, I'm going to leave it there. Just a simple lesson, scriptures for you to use, write them down, and use them the next time you need to talk to someone who is hell-bent on, not wanting to believe the truth that the law was never passed away. I plan to do a video later on to finish the video I did a few days ago about what we do whenever they're rounding us up. I will finish that up. I'll probably call it Sell Your Cloak and Buy a Sword ? So I'll be doing that later on today. In the meantime, be praying, travailing over what's going on in the world. According to the world, we could possibly be going to war before even my next video. Do your best to help one another and just be working your relationship with the Father. That's what's most important, that you know Him and He knows you. So, until next time, Yahuwah bless you and keep you always, and I'll see you in the next video.